Oh God, oh God, oh God.
This is 3FM.
The taxi driver.
Are you feeling irate? Alright, let's go answer them now. Sure, original. This is the African History Class Friday edition, and my name Black Rasta Ghana's #1. As advertised, my guest has finally landed in the studio, and we're about to have a beautiful conversation. Her name is Scheril Murray Powell, and she is a lawyer by profession. She's a multifaceted legal professional, renowned for her expertise in agricultural, cannabis, dietary, supplement, regulatory, immigration, and trade law. This is the person we're talking about. Yes, her name is Scheril Murray Powell, and she is a professional renowned for her expertise in agricultural, cannabis, dietary, supplement, regulatory, immigration. And she's seated right in front of me, my brother, my sister. We're going to be talking more about, some things that you're so much interested in. We're going to be talking about marijuana, ganja. In the Volta region, they call it Bekwi. And you have a name for it in your local language. We're about to have a beautiful conversation. Scheril, you're welcome.
Thank you. I feel very welcome. I love the energy, high energy, high frequency. Thank you, Black Rasta, for having me on your program.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you since probably December of last year, so it's great to be back in Ghana. This is my other home, from Volta all the way to Agogo, all the way to Accra. I love Ghana, and it's a very momentous occasion. I came back for the reparations discussions, the Next Step Conference hosted by President Mahama. We had dignitaries from all over the world flying in to just confirm and double down on the fact that they support the proclamation, United Nations proclamation, that declares the enslavement of African people as being the gravest crime against humanity. So there was a lot of coalition building discussions, CSOs in the building, secretaries of state, heads of state, everyone there. But the people were there as well, grassroots, making sure that this moment doesn't pass us without full representation. I was happy to be a part of the delegation for the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. I'm the international president of the EWF, and I was joined by the Rastafari Council of Ghana.
Interesting.
So Rastafari was in the building.
Interesting. So, Scheril, which country are you coming from?
I'm coming from New York in the USA.
America.
Yes.
God have mercy. So you're a lawyer?
I'm a lawyer. I'm a cannabis, agricultural, dietary supplement trade, psychedelics, regulatory, and immigration attorney. I've been practicing cannabis law for 10 years. I've been very involved with civil rights my entire life. So it's an honor to serve the people in this capacity with my education.
All right, so let's go headlong into our conversation.
Yes.
When we say cannabis, what is that?
Yeah, when we talk about cannabis, we're talking about the ganja plant, marijuana, weed. There's so many different names for it. Cannabis sativa. There's the Latin names for it. But yeah, it's the herb. It's the healing of the nations. Reference Genesis 1:29 in Scripture. Reference Revelations 22:2. It's been a part of our lives as indigenous community going back to antiquity. It is our holy sacrament as Rastafari. And, we believe that there's treaty verification, validation to our use as a holy sacrament. And we intend to make sure that we defend this right all the way through. I think cannabis is also a vehicle for reparations and economic development for our people.
So this cannabis thing, why has it become so important? More important than corn? More important than wheat? You know, everywhere you go, people are talking about cannabis. Why is it very important? Why is it this important?
Well, I think the reason why it's so important is because we're coming out of a period of prohibition. So, since the 1930s, governments have aligned around it being, a controlled substance. And some legislation is referred to as Indian hemp. And the plant, other than the seeds and stalks and stems, have been controlled in this country and around the world for many years. So that's what makes it important is we're coming out of that dark period of prohibition. There's still challenges. We're not all the way there yet. So ones who think, okay, well, we start to see hemp legalization here in Ghana. Congratulations to our farmers in Ghana for having that opportunity. The next step is to make that opportunity accessible to all, specifically indigenous community and our faith-based users. But that's why it's such an important conversation, because it's a very versatile crop, right? So it can be used for food, clothing, building materials, soil remediation, carbon credits. There's so many uses for it. There are economic uses for it, nutritional uses for it, health and wellness uses for it. It's an important plant. So, between cannabis, mushrooms is very versatile as well. Can be used for nutrition, can be used for medicine, can be used for leather and clothing. And then you have bamboo. Bamboo's another very versatile crop, which can be used for nutrition as well as building materials. So those are the crops that I think will come to the forefront in years to come.
Yes, tell me, Scheril, why is marijuana this controversial? Mushroom is not. Bamboo is not.
Mushrooms with a psychoactive effect can be controversial.
Okay.
I think cannabis, when it has a psychoactive effect, that's when the controversy comes in. But it just needs to be dealt in the way, just like, we're looking at pharmaceutical medicines, but keep in mind that this is indigenous. It's something that's part of culture. So because it's part of culture, there's understanding of it within indigenous and legacy community that needs to be explored. Those voices need to be brought to the forefront so we can truly understand it, even with the psychoactive effects.
And so many countries around Africa are thinking about legalizing marijuana. First and foremost, is there a difference between hemp and cannabis?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when we're talking about hemp versus cannabis, it's really an arbitrary calculation or definition. In the United States, it's less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC that draws the line. There's actually activity based on congressional movements last year, which as of November, there are even more restrictive definitions between hemp and marijuana. But yeah, it's very arbitrary. There isn't really a scientific reason why they said this is the point when this same plant stops being hemp and becomes marijuana. It's really based on, legislators picking a number, and that's how it's always been. But no, it's the same plant. They're not even cousins. It's the same plant, but just like most plant genetics, there's variety, right? There are different cultivars in plant genetics, and that's what makes the distinction between hemp and marijuana. Also, it's how you grow it, the different growing techniques. So, increased sunlight can make a hemp plant turn into marijuana and cross that line and be even more potent. There's so many factors and inputs that determine the strength of the THC in the plant, and THC is associated with the psychoactive effects. So THC is one of a number of cannabinoids, and then we have, we look at it as like an entourage effect, where there's minor cannabinoids and then a major cannabinoid like THC, or a major cannabinoid like CBD. And then, of course, Dr. Raphael Mechoulam alludes to an ensemble effect where all of the cannabinoids are equal. It's not like other cannabinoids are, chasing this one big cannabinoid. So it is about cannabinoid medicine. I just launched the Cannabis Research Hall of Fame this year, and we're going to do inductions. We made some announcements. I'm going to make another announcement. I'll make one announcement here on your show for the first time as far as one of our inductees. One of our inductees is Jamaican. He is Dr. Henry Lowe. You're hearing it here first, everyone. Not only is he a Hall of Fame inductee,
is 3FM.
he is one of our People's Choice Award winners. So he will be inducted. And another announcement that I just made a determination today is this induction ceremony will be taking place at the Mid-Atlantic Cannabis Research Conference in Philadelphia, November 6th and 7th. So I haven't told anyone except our board this news. You heard it here first on Black Rasta's show.
So the psychoactive effects of marijuana.
Yes.
Why do you think this has dominated the cannabis conversation? Everyone is talking about the psychoactive effects. Nobody's really talking. Not too many people are, too interested in the other benefits of marijuana.
Yes, it's really unfortunate that the medicinal psychoactive effects is the only aspect of the plant that's magnified, because it does so much. Even medicinally, without the psychoactive effect, we're seeing with CBD varieties of medicine, whether it's consumed or used topically, we're seeing a significant amount of relief. But the what people term as the high, it has benefits. It also is medicinal. The fact that it's psychoactive, some scientists say, and actually Dr. Raphael Meshulam, who's another one of our inductees out of Israel, he's gone now, but he's considered the godfather of cannabinoids. He says that, cannabis helps you remember and it helps you forget. It helps you remember and it increases your cognitive ability. And that's including the THC, including the high, but it also helps you to forget traumatic events. Right? So, or make them not hurt as much, make them not cycle as much. So, there are benefits to the psychoactive effect. It's just, again, when we're talking about medicine, we're talking about medicinal, it's usually given, as a prescription through care from a physician. But in culture, in community, as utilized by indigenous community over millennia, we understand the psychoactive effects. It's included in our teas and food and how we prepare food and on our reasoning sessions, our social gatherings for a reason. This heightened awareness, some may refer to the third eye, is all part of wellness and treatment. And the thing about sacramental herb is it's not just spiritual. It's spiritual, it is medicinal, it is nutritional. So it has all of those components, whereas in modern times, we like to say, oh, this is medicinal cannabis, this is recreational or adult use cannabis.
Right.
It's the same plant. From the perspective of culture, we use the same plant the same way. You don't have to put it in a box here and say, oh, now this same plant that I cut and cured and harvested and cured and prepared is medicinal. But then the same plant now over here is recreational. It's the same plant, it just has different uses and different benefits for the body. Just like any substance, period, there is a consideration of abuse. But we just recently in the United States had the rescheduling of cannabis. They rescheduled very specifically FDA drugs containing cannabis, and then also cannabis coming through state medicinal programs has been rescheduled. So by rescheduling it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, the government of the United States is recognizing not only that, one, it has medicinal benefits, but two, that this substance does not have a high potency for abuse. And I like to always say that, sugar's more addictive than cannabis. Cigarettes are more addictive than cannabis. Alcohol's more addictive than cannabis. there's so many things that are more addictive than the cannabis plant. So it can be a part of your health and wellness plan. I don't object at all to engaging with physicians. I do think we should recognize our naturopathic physicians when we're talking about physicians. And our herbalists, our roots people, we have ancient African spirituality that also has used cannabis as a part of ceremonies and rituals. So there's a lot of knowledge that exists. It's not just in the modern medical world or the Western medical world. We really need to uplift what's been known in African community for millennia. And this reparations conversation ties into cannabis. I think, cannabis can be a tool for reparations with regards to economic development, democratizing access to agriculture, as well as, legitimizing something that is part of our culture that someone else is telling us is forbidden or it's not to be utilized.
Right. Some families have said that they've lost members to marijuana. Somebody smokes it for the first time and he ends up at a psychiatric hospital. Is it true that cannabis is capable of making people go crazy?
No, that is so let's break that down. So typically, it's not true. I would say that is not true. There's 0 fatalities that are tied to cannabis. 0 fatalities. So less fatalities than road accidents, heart strokes, and all the things. Yeah, 0 fatalities associated with cannabis. Now, there is research that indicates that if you have a predisposition to a mental illness, that this may not be the solution for you. But there are also pharmaceutical drugs that if you have a predisposition to mental illness, that it's not the right solution for you. So we have to look at it from that context, right? So no, on its own, absent any genetic indicators that you are predisposed to mental illness, it will not kill you, make you go crazy, things like that. Also, one thing we have to be careful of, and another good rationale for legalization.
What you are saying, is that unless you are predisposed to some level of mental illness, that's if you have it in the family genetically, that is when you can go crazy.
In your past or in your family, that's when you'll be more likely to have an episode using cannabis.
So if you're not sure about it, then don't touch it. Correct?
I would say if you're not sure about it, then consult a physician. And then if you're not sure about it, work with your physician and determine, is this the right solution for you? Because we're not saying that cannabis is the cure-all. We're saying that cannabis is something that should be a legitimized option that is not discriminated against when you're having conversations about your health and wellness. I would never say that everyone should use cannabis, because that's not true. I would never say that cannabis cures everything. That's not true. What I will say is it is one of the things to be considered on the list of options as a remedy for a lot of indications or illnesses. Well, but I could say the same thing about moringa as well, but moringa doesn't have the psychoactive effect, so that's just another factor. But there's a lot of things where moringa helps. Soursop leaves, a lot of things. So that's why we kind of lean into indigenous medicine. There's a lot of history there that we can learn from. We're coming out of what we call reefer madness. So they made up a lot of stories like, white women are going to go after black men when they smoke herb. They're going to, people are going to jump out of the window when they smoke herb. These are all fallacies that have been created. A lot of them have the taint of racial discrimination in them. But what we do know is it is a healing plant.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's fine.
Unfortunately, we have just about 2 minutes.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I chewed a little bit of marijuana leaves in my days, about some 20 years back. My friends were smoking, and I just picked up a few leaves because I love the taste, the little bitterness is something.
Right.
I chewed a little bit of it, and I felt like jumping from the 5th floor of a story building. So that is true.
So
Does
that is your personal experience? That
Yes,
You
yes.
chewed, that was your delivery method was chewing on
Yes.
the leaf. So that doesn't necessarily resonate with me in truth, but I don't want to deny or discriminate against your experience. But usually it's not even the leaves that have the potency. It's actually the flower of the plant is where you get that intoxicating
Well,
effect.
I'm talking
So-
about what they actually smoke, what some of our brethren smoke.
So if-
whilst they were smoking it, I just picked a bit of it and I was chewing. So that was the flower, right?
So again, that's why language is very important. So with the flowers, yes, you can consume it that way. Usually, by the time a substance goes through, any substance goes through your dietary system, through your digestive system, it loses at least 60% of its potency. So that's highly irregular, the experience that you're describing, because even if you were taking a full-on cannabis capsule, by the time it goes through your digestive system, you would have lost 60% of it anyway.
Is it the first time you are hearing that somebody smoked marijuana and felt like jumping from the story building? First time?
Yes, this is the first time I'm hearing that they felt like jumping off.
Really?
Yes, and that's why I want to make a warning about making sure that you know the source of your cannabis. Making sure it's from a legal source, because cannabis now, in the street, sometimes it's tainted with fentanyl and all these things, which is why we push so hard for a medical, like a legal industry, because with the legal industry, you can put age restrictions on it as far as the purchase location, so you know that children aren't getting access to it. When you have a legal, cannabis industry, you have testing, so you know exactly what's in it, if there are any contaminants, if there's any other drugs that have been associated with it, any spraying of anything. We are advocates for the natural plant. Sometimes it comes as whole plant medicine. Sometimes it's isolated compounds based on research. So those are the things we support. But no, I haven't heard of anyone smoking marijuana and wanting to jump off building. We find that road hazards decrease in legalized states. Domestic violence decreases in legalized states. People are less angry. They're more chill with marijuana, especially compared to alcohol. So that hasn't been my experience, but I would never want to devalue your experience and how you felt at the time. But I would suspect, and I would investigate whether there were other factors at play, because that would be highly irregular for something consumed the way that you're describing orally through your digestive system,
Right,
to be that heightened for you to feel anything that strong. Okay.
Probably after this place, I'll take you to Aveno, and then you will taste a bit of the Ghana marijuana, and maybe you will have the same experience. You feel like running around on the street. You feel like jumping from a story building. You feel like you are seeing some river. You want to jump into a river, and it's just plain ground.
Yeah. So either there's something really significant about Ghana's industry, or there's some type of inputs that I'm not used to with the way things are done in Ghana, but that is not consistent with experience worldwide. And I'm very curious to understand what the testing results would be from any type of ganja that has that type of result in an individual. Anything can be overconsumed, same like sugar, salt. People go to the hospital for overconsuming salt all the time. People go to the hospital for overconsuming water all of the time. So
This
the key
is
is
3FM.
moderation, responsibility. If it's medical, let's include the advice of a physician, and always remember we have to respect culture, we have to respect religious, and this is our holy sacrament as Rastafari. But as an African culture, we have utilized this plant, respected this plant for millennia, and there's a lot to be learned from us.
I had about 500 questions to put up. Unfortunately, the show started late, but I'm sure we are going to have another conversation and we'll look at this. Thank you so much for coming on, Scheril Murray Powell. The conversation is going to continue after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Scheril Murray Powell, Esquire, International President for the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. And I'd like to give greetings from His Imperial Highness, Prince Ermias Haile Selassie, as the special representative to the Crown Council of Ethiopia for the African diaspora. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so my name Black Cross, and I want to say thank you so much, and thanks so much to Scheril Murray Powell. And over the microphone right now to my very good bald-headed brother.